Hi, everybody. It's Adina here from Immigrant Finance. I am here with our guest tonight, Jerry from generationcuts, as well as many other businesses. Jerry's going to be telling us about his experience starting businesses and his family's experience with it. So thank you so much for making the time, Jerry. How are you doing?
Very, very good. Just
Awesome.
excited. I know that we've been trying to connect for a while now, so it's great to get our convo out there and see who it touches.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for you making the time. Jerry, you're such an awesome example of like we just start connected online because the internet is crazy and awesome. The people you can connect with, and you told me a little bit about your background, and I was just like, we need to have you on the podcast because I know just from like messaging with you for a minute, there's so many people who can learn from you. So thanks for making the time in your busy schedule, and I'll let you just go ahead and kind of introduce yourself, tell the people a little bit about who you are, what you're up to.
Yeah, so barber by profession for 15 years, transitioning to other facets of business now, going from owner operator business to I have a partnership now where I'm helping small businesses kind of navigate early stages of business, getting them to maybe from a studio, maybe from even in-home services, and helping them get to their brick and mortar stores. If you have a location and you're looking to get your second location, those are all things that the new company is helping and assisting in. One of the main reasons why I wanted to start that one, mine and my partner's heart was really to help people like our people. The business birth. Every time I think about the business, I think of my mom, who's been in business for a very long time. But you hand her a phone and she's not going to know how to create a Yelp account. She's not going to know how to create her Google My Business. She's definitely not going to know how to do a website that requires some coding or anything like that. So thinking of our community and just seeing how we can be an asset for them. It's almost like when growing up, you're your parents' translator. ¿Qué dice esto? And then if a parent wants to open, but maybe they struggle with English, maybe they struggle understanding the culture, understanding business, in 2022, then they can just kind of toss the ball to us and we'll be like, oh, this means that, and we can do this and we can help you with that. So I'm very excited about that business, and we're still growing the barbershops, don't get me wrong, which is another community-based business. So everything around community for me, and network, and it's very thrilling.
That's awesome. I'm so excited to hear about that. What's the name of the new business? It sounds like business kind of consulting.
Yeah, so
coaching.
it's a branding / consulting / marketing / website building. It's almost like when you're starting a new business and you're wearing every hat and you just feel like you're drowning, like, oh, because now all of a sudden you open a business, you're supposed to be chief executive, chief of finance, chief of legal department, chief of acquisition, so because I was in those shoes, it's one of those things where it's like, well, I figured out how to do that and that and that and that and that on my own. So figuring it out for our community is always good too. And
That's awesome.
It's morphing itself more than just consultant, because consultant, you would come in and I'd give you some advice and send you on your way, but we actually created products that would facilitate you getting from A to B.
That's awesome. So what's the name of this business?
Up Next Investments.
Up Next Investments. Awesome. And was there a third business to it? I heard you mention earlier.
Well, because I have so
look at you.
This is where life gets interesting. So when we got our office, we started building our office out, and then we did a podcast room in the back of the office. Now, we didn't know how many people were really gonna catch on to this idea so early on. So now that the business is more and more demanding, I just saw it as a requirement to not be at my barbershop, in Winnetka, not be at the barbershop in Topanga, but to be here doing some back office things, there's no point in me going back and forth to businesses. So I ended up doing a small barber studio in the back of the office. So
Awesome.
that's why now it's a barber studio as well.
Okay.
So
What is a barber studio? Like
so a barber studio is essentially like a room where it's just me cutting hair.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. So you come to the office and the front of the office is very cigar lounge feel. I'll give you a little sneak peek because I'm actually in it right now. Let me see.
Nice. Oh my God. What?
So
this is amazing.
Yeah. So you walk into the office and it's like an actual office where I'm handling this side of the business. But then back there where my partner's hiding, that is a full-blown production studio. And on this corner, it's there's a barber chair with my station, so I can bounce back. If I'm not cutting hair, I come and I work on people's businesses, and then it's a short drive away.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm gonna freak out seeing this, and like, just to describe for people listening to this on the podcast. So, and I can't wait to hear about like the family's immigration story and have people see what's possible. So I just saw a bottle of whiskey and champagne and leather chairs. And I think that's Jeff Bezos on the wall. Bezos, however you pronounce it. And like you have like a full like business like shop here, and then you also have the barber shop. And did you say podcast studio too?
Yeah, we have a full studio in the back where people can come in, use our space, they can use our equipment. We have a production director that will also edit your podcast and give it to you in an SD card ready for you just to upload. So you can just come, be yourself, be funny, bring your person you're interviewing, and not worry about any of the back end stuff. We do all that for you. And then all you do is upload it to YouTube and look like you're a genius.
This is genius. You came up with it. I love how you are offering the various services you have, like all in one place. People, one-stop shop. People can come for help with their business and get their hair cut. It's so cool.
Well, I mean, I've had my customers for 15 years. I don't want to disappoint. I don't want them to assume that I'm not cutting hair anymore, and I don't think I've transitioned to that. I'm not there yet to where I want to leave that, because I mean, growing up for me, being a class clown was everything. I went to 8 middle schools, got kicked out of multiple high schools. It brought great joy to me to interrupt my teachers and make the whole class laugh in gloomy moments. So
that's so cool.
So for me, barbering is still like a gateway to getting to know people, their stories, and giving an opportunity, making them laugh a little bit.
Yeah, and what I'm really enjoying hearing about, even just connecting with you in a few minutes, is like this integration you have between your different sides of yourself and business offers. Excuse me. So you have the barbering, you have the business work. It's making me kind of think about how I'm trying to combine. Excuse me, we have terrible allergy season over here. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I'm trying to combine like being an immigration lawyer with helping immigrants with their finances. It's like bringing all of that to your work and being your full self. It's so awesome. But let's back up a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your family's immigration history.
Yeah, well, like most kids, Hispanic kids my age, our parents were the ones who put in the work, the sacrifice, and they created a platform where we could launch off of. My mom for 42 years has continued to work 7 days a week. She got here in 1980, I believe, or 1981. My dad got here shortly afterwards. Both of them from El Salvador, fleeing civil war. And I mean, they did the biggest favor for us, by doing that, because I would probably be some gangbanger, or, I'd be dead or in the war. Who knows what would have happened to my dad, and who knows what would have happened to my mom. Now you got to be raised as an orphan. So in general, I always accredit all of my up to this point success to the sacrifice that my parents made coming here. Somebody told my mom, that they would help her out, which is one of the things of, investments are so intricate. And I feel that sometimes we're scared to invest in immigrants, because it's like, man, how do you get around the paperwork? How do you get around? There's so much that goes into it. But somebody really believed in my mom and saw her charisma and said, you know what, you can have a career. And they paid for her school.
Wow.
Somebody paid for her school as an immigrant so that she can go and get her cosmetologist license. And then from there, it's just sprouted to her creating a clientele base, opening her first salon in 1982 or 83. And then she ended up having 3 beauty salons in the city of LA. And then from there, we came down to San Fernando Valley. If anybody's watching that knows about LA, San Fernando Valley is like the adopted ugly brother.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, no, it's great. I love I love being the ugly brother. But but yeah, so it all just kind of boiled down to somebody believing in my mom, her proving her worth, and then now me being able to have unlimited opportunities because of it. So
Incredible.
And then that same thing with my dad. I don't want to leave him out in case he watches this. I don't want him getting jealous. But my dad's been an entrepreneur in his own right. He started when he got here. He was a mobile security. He was a security guard, and then he kind of developed some skills in mobile car washing. From mobile car washing, he ended up being 3M's top salesman for mobile car wash supplies. And then from there, he invested in a company, became his own boss in that field. Then he just became, he's an investor in my business. He invested in a ceramic business in Burbank. And then he just recently opened up another business himself, all on a first grade education.
Wow.
And yeah, first grade education. He had to drop out of school during that time to help his mother feed 9 kids or 11 kids, something like that. So he was working the fields at the age of 12 years old. And because he did that and came over here, I didn't have to work the fields. So it's it all ties back to them.
That's so inspiring. And yeah, I mean, what would you say to people who are like, recent immigrants to the US, or maybe they've been here a while, but they're the first generation to be here. They're like your parents, and people who have faced a lot of barriers, been told they can't invest, been told they can't have businesses. What would you say to them after the experience of your family?
Well, the first thing I would say is kind of the rich dad, poor dad mentality, where it's use other people's money, show your worth, show that you're a trustworthy person, allow your character to be solid for such a long time that people that have money say, if I give you money, I know it's coming back. Learn a skill set, whatever the skill set might be. I mean, when my uncles came over, they learned electricity, and they ended up getting into a construction field, and they ended up opening a side business on the weekends because they would work Monday through Friday. So now Saturday and Sunday, they were picking up work and being able to grow and build. So a lot of it would have to, when you come here, you come with 2 quarters to rub. And right now with gas prices, it's like 2 pennies to rub. So the way that they are. So I definitely think it's more about proving your worth. And some people are always looking. People are always looking at you, whether you want to be seen or not. Now, what they see is the only thing you can control. Out of that, everything else is out of your hands. But when you open a door for somebody, when you return a lost phone, when you oh man, all these good moral things that you can do, character building things that you can do. Somebody's gonna take a look at you and say, you know what, man, if he just had a little bit of money, he would do this. But that leads me to the next part, which is the skills. You know, I would love to give money to some people, but if I don't see that they have the skills where I'm gonna be able to get my money back plus interest, just like any other investor, then it's like I can love you, but I can love you from a distance. And that would be my message to these to these immigrants that are just coming or that have some time here. Beside the common things, you know, I was trying to stay away from the corny, you know, learn English type of, because it's obvious,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, you
Yeah.
got to learn, which when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So it's important to definitely learn English. But man, my mom can barely put a sentence together in English after 42 years. She's had 6 beauty salons.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's more will, desire, and proving to people that you care for them. I think that as Hispanics, one of the coolest thing that is intertwined into our culture is certain things like respect. You know,
Yeah.
there's respect for kids. There's a certain respect for the elderlies.
Yeah.
Communities. There's things that for us, we're very serviceable people. That's why when you look in the back of every kitchen, you're gonna find a Hispanic person. When you find waiters, you're gonna find Hispanic people. It's certain things where it's like we might see it on a day-to-day and just overlook it. You know, if I go visit my aunt and she's serving food, she's not gonna let me get up. You know, it's like, oh, no, sit down, let me bring you a plate. I know you've been
Right.
working. So we're very serviceable people. Customer service, it comes natural, and we're fiery people. I mean, we're not quiet. If you go into a restaurant, you know you're in a Hispanic restaurant. You know, if you go to Hispanic dominated areas, you know, urban areas, you go to Miami, there's a reason why Miami's Miami. There's a reason why LA is
Yeah.
LA, Chicago, New Jersey, certain parts of New York. You know when you're close to the Puerto Rican side of town. You know when you're
Yeah.
next to. I went to Orlando, Florida, on a business trip once, and I was just amazed to see how many Dominicans and Venezuelans and all, just when we're near, you can hear us across the room. So there's certain businesses, skill sets that favor us.
Yeah.
Sales,
Oh yeah.
can be amazing salespeople. We're not shy. We let our opinion be known, and we're out there. So that would be my beginner advice for anybody who's in the immigrant community trying to find their own way. Utilize what you have already.
Yeah, that's amazing, extremely valuable advice. And I always tell the students that we work with in immigrant finance, the issue is not for you all to know how to make money or work hard or be good workers. You all know often how to work harder than any American, improve your worth. That's not the issue. The issue is more we need to have you all make sure that you know how to make money start working for you instead of you doing all the work. So I love the advice you gave, but I want to push you a little further because I know I could see some people misinterpreting what you're saying as being how can you be a good worker, But I know from your experience and your parents' experience, you all know how to turn that into you all being the boss or the business owner. So how would you take a step further for the people who they know how to make the money, they know how to show their respect and do service, but how can they start seeing themselves as a boss?
Well, that's the reason why I started with the rich dad, poor dad concept of other
Yeah.
people's money.
Yes. Tell us more.
You have to be investable. That's what it comes down to. If you have a skill set and you're investable and you prove your worth, I'm not saying that somebody's going to come invest in you so that you can have a better job. They're going to invest in you so that you can start a company, so that you guys can link up. And that's where networking is so vital, so crucial. And then again, utilizing what we already have. So if I, putting myself, I'm trying to put myself in immigrant shoes, which is very difficult, because we've never left everything and crossed deserts and go into a place where, you don't know the language and you don't have that much opportunity, but you find the people that relate to you. So if you can get into a circle of second generation Hispanics, and now they understand both English and Spanish, now you can talk to them in Spanish and let them know, I was a painter in my country. I had, many people left actual businesses in their country, or at least like their families, they understand the concept of business. So you can definitely show your worth. So, and then learn now, like you said, internet, if it, is everywhere. What can't you learn on the internet? What can't you, and everything is in Spanish as well. So just utilizing the resources of people, technology, and combining that together so that they can invest in you. You can possibly have your own company, and then you can possibly grow from there, from owner operated to having employees, to having a system, to being a blessing to others. It's all going to start with the skill set, saving some money, and sometimes other people's resources that have absolutely nothing to do with yours. That's business. That's how businesses get started. Investors, and if you don't have your own, and then companies like Up Next Investments, that are there also to lend a hand and point in the right direction. And we're not the only ones. Every city is going to have some sort of business consultants, some sort of branding and marketing companies. But how would you know that? I would know that by going to a second, third generation Hispanic that lives near me. My friend's son, my friend's daughter, that's where the networking really comes. And it that's another thing where it does not hurt you to ask somebody. And I remember my one of the reasons why my dad learned a little more English than my mom was because my dad was not as embarrassed trying to sound certain things out, or or sounding foolish, and then having us correct them, and us being like, Dad, no es así, like ha ha ha. And he's like, well, pues dime, like, ¿cómo es? My mom, yeah, I think he's like, I think I'll just my mom built a brand around Hispanic people.
Okay.
That's a shortcut. And those are
that
things
is a shortcut.
those are things that as I grew up, I didn't understand as a child until I looked back now as an adult and I go, that's genius. So when she named her beauty salon Isabel's Beauty Salon, and she strategically, for example, when she came back in the days, the embassy of El Salvador was near MacArthur Park, and which is a huge, that's the El Salvador corridor in LA. So when you go to MacArthur Park, it is flooded with the Salvadorian community. There's 1 million of us here. Just to put into perspective, there's approximately 7 million people in El Salvador. There's 1 million here alone.
Right.
So when she came, she decided to put 2 beauty salons on each side of MacArthur Park. So as she was running and conducting business, people who heard her accent, who were just coming here, said, I know where you're from. And she said, yeah, soy salvadoreña. And then that's where she gets to wheeling and dealing. And her concept is correct. I don't need to learn English because I'm not trying to go to Beverly Hills. I'm not trying.
Right.
I'm going after
she knew her market.
People to her own market. Those are the little things that as I'm growing up, I'm taking mental notes, and now I understand why.
Yeah.
I understand why Tecate has 10 Mexican flags waving in each commercial with Vicente Fernandez in the background, and it makes you feel super Hispanic-y if you pick up a Tecate, and you even feel like a traitor to your nation if you go get a Michelob Ultra organic. So that is, those are major shortcuts that, again, I'm very proud of being Hispanic. They make fun of me because my first name is Jerry. It's hard to explain that one, but my first name is Jerry, and then my last name is Estrada. So when I introduce myself to people, I always say, "Oh, my name's Jerry Estrada," and everybody's like, my Hispanic friends are like, you can say Estrada, right? And I'm like, no, I got sauce. Understand, I'm Hispanic Latino as hell. So it's one of those things where my mom understood that concept. No one taught her that, and she just said, I'm gonna ride this wave and create a lane for myself where I don't have to be different. I don't have to go to school to learn. Not discouraging immigrants to go learn English. Many more opportunities. But if you're gonna come here and you know how to paint and you market like Adriana's insurance, you feel that Adriana has your back. She doesn't. But it makes you feel, because you're Hispanic, you can connect to her as opposed to going to Goldberg's insurance. You feel like, no, este me va a bajar, el dinero. And you feel like because her name's Adriana's Insurance and she has salsa music in her commercials, and you just feel like that's where you're connected at, and that's who's going to have your back. So you utilize that same concept and you say, okay, well, I'm going to start a painting company, or I'm going to start a lawn care company, and I'm going to market towards Hispanics. When you do that, another Hispanic is going to hear your story. We will help each other out. If you come to me and you say, I do amazing work, this is my portfolio. And I'm an immigrant, but I'm going to take care of you because you're my people. All of a sudden, man, I'm going to feel like a sinner not hiring you, and then going to somebody who has opportunity and just jumping you like that. I wouldn't do it. And I know a lot of my friends wouldn't do it. So that would be another suggestion that I would have for the immigrant community, where it's use what you have, network, but use what you have. You don't have to, go and try to be something you're not. Start from where you are. And yeah, you're going to 10 years back, now you know English, now you file taxes differently. Now you're doing things. But when you're hungry on day one getting here, it's utilizing what you have.
That's such helpful advice. I love that. I think that's going to help a lot of people feeling really empowered of like, you've got skills now you can use to make money, and there's always a need, right? It's just figuring out like, what is the problem, that you can solve with your skills, your experience, and like, who are the people you can serve. So that's super helpful. Is there any other advice you would give to folks on finances, business, for folks who not only are immigrants, but children of immigrants like you too?
Man, I think that if you're one of the children of the immigrants, that's more relatable for me. So I can speak on that one first. It's difficult because I feel like if you're the child of an immigrant, you're going through things yourself. You're in a whole nother mind frame. You're not even thinking about your parents, the humiliation that they go through. You're not thinking about the embarrassment that they go through by not knowing English, by not being able to have a simple conversation with the cashier at Ralph's. You're not thinking about them because you're so caught up being a teenager. If you are a teenager, you're dealing with pimples, and your girlfriend cheated on you with the jock of, the captain of the football team. Now you don't want to be in PE with him. Like you got your own little issues and problems. And my suggestion to them would be, don't forget that you're probably the biggest tool that your parents have in their arsenal. And don't overlook that. It sucks that you're the translator. Yeah. But, you're helping them because they came and gave you the opportunity. So help them as much as you can. Even, building connections and then saying, hey, my mom has this store. My dad runs, a lawn care service. My mom has, a small restaurant. Help them build their Yelp. I built my mom's Yelp, before on any of this type of business endeavors that we're doing. But just for the fact that she's poking her phone and trying and getting frustrated. And she came here today. My partner can attest to this. She literally came here today and she's like, my phone doesn't have internet. Why can't I use my internet on my phone? What did I do? I opened it. I scrolled down. I pushed data, the data service button. I scrolled up. I handed it to her in 2 seconds and I said, you have internet. And like Einstein, that, I just solved everything. Like in her eyes, that's what it was. I solved formulas that are unknown to man, but it wasn't, and that's what I'm saying, that sometimes, I got stuff going on too, but don't forget that we are in the Bible, it's you are your brother's keeper, but we are our parents' keeper. And the opportunities that we can bring to them, beside the fact that you're going to grow up, you're going to become a lawyer, you're going to become somebody, and then be able to bless them, you shouldn't have to wait till after college to be able to be a blessing to your parent. And I guess that would be my suggestion to the kids of immigrants, just keeping that in mind. The world, your problems will shrink. I got a group of kids. So I have 16, one's about to be 16, one's about to be 13 and a half. My daughter's 11. She thinks she's like 35, but she's 11. And a 6-year-old son. And thing that I have to explain to them, it's almost like Honey, I Shrank the Kids, where once they shrink, they're small, so everything else looks giant. Eventually they get back to normal size and you're like, oh, it was a quarter. It's like, so for the children of immigrants, it would be, no matter what you feel you're going through right now, looking at it from a different spectrum is going to help you understand. Don't shy away from your mom. Don't shy away from your dad. I've made my mom cry just by simply telling her, like, oh, can you drop me off a couple blocks before school? And me, I'm not thinking of it as I'm ashamed of her at that moment, but that's how it's being perceived.
Right.
And then coming home, and then my dad, like, hey, you made your mom cry all day. Like, she didn't even go to work today. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Oh.
Yeah, and he's like, what are you talking about? Like, no, I was gonna ditch school, man. So I wanted her here because it was close to the Jack in the Box. And he'd be like, well, that's not the message she got. And so just being conscious, aware that their traumas are real, and not just that, they're being forced to be productive in a country that they know nothing about, and basically sweeping the trauma under the rug because they have to life. So that would be my advice to any kid of an immigrant. Be there for your parents.
And what about in terms of not only like supporting them and giving back after all they've done, but teaching them too how to be strong when it comes to their finances? Like, as you learn more about finance and business, have you shared that with them too, so that they can come along with you?
Oh yeah. If you're trying to do that for your parent, you read and you teach. You read and you teach. My dad calls me before they try to scam my dad all the time. He makes good money. So he's always, oh, I have this new opportunity for you. And then I'll like look it up and I'm like, Dad, that's a Ponzi scheme. Can you stop talking to that person? And so again, just by being the resource for them, you should be reading the books that they can't read. You can buy books in Spanish for $11 and challenge them somehow. Dad, I bet you can't finish this book before I finish this book. And turn it into a game to where, some people are like, well, I shouldn't have to. They're the parent. They don't get it. You really have to understand that our families come from the mentality of the bank is the shoebox. You know, that's where and the top investment for our families is I saved in under the mattress. I have a little rainy day fund. And if you don't clarify to them like what a Roth IRA is, one of the saddest things for me always is seeing GoFundMe. I have so many GoFundMe accounts that come past my Instagram feed. It sucks because it's like, even if I were to give $50 to each one, I mean, I would run out of money, because that's a GoFundMe. People are thinking that that's your life insurance plan. And when I see people selling pupusas to raise money, tacos, whatever your culture is, baleados, it's disheartening because we don't have to anymore. You know, we have resources now. So where the child comes in is reading and telling the parent, why don't you have, you know, this life insurance? Helping them get their ITIN number, helping them get in contact with immigration lawyers to see, do they have a case? You know, there's many reasons why or how you can see a path to citizenship nowadays. So being a resource for the parents, and then just drilling them every single time, you know, how come you don't have this? How come you're not doing this? How come you're not? That's in a positive way. Again, I don't want the kids to think that they have to be nags, but showing them success stories, or just showing them, thank God, you know, this person passed away, but thank God they had life insurance, so they left $800,000 for their family, and they left their funeral, you know, paid off already. And then they're just like, man, you know, as parents, I would not want my daughter to have to wash cars on the day of my death because I didn't want to pay $50 a month, you know. And no disrespect again to those that do have to do that, but it's just not our only route anymore. This isn't 1940s where we were only working fields and, you know, we weren't allowed to go into restaurants. We were treated like dogs. This is 2022. So for them to do a little bit of the research and go to channels like yours and go to academies that teach, that's more than enough to help their parents feel not just the support, but feel that they are not alone if they decide to take a step. You know, you can be the walker for your parents at that point. So that's, you know, that's where it would be. And then suggestions for them is, well, why don't you prove it to them? You know, why not you save a little bit of money? Why not you work, you save, you invest in something and say, hey, Dad, so every month I buy, you know, Nike stock is somewhere around $56, I believe. You know, I buy one Nike stock every month, and I've made this much on it, you know, in the last year. You know, if I would have put more, then a lot of our parents are making money. You know, they're just not gonna.
They're not growing it.
Yeah, they're not growing it.
Yeah.
So for you to grow it and then tell them, look, I'm broke. I'm a broke student. And I was able to grow my money from this to this. Just imagine if you were to do it, Dad. Just imagine if you were to do it, Mom. That right there gives them like the proof is in the pudding. And then they decide to take the step, because it's like my mother-in-law decided, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, you know, made the decision to get into Bitcoin early on. And it was all because of a conversation that me and her son were having. We're at the dinner table and we're going back and forth about Bitcoin volatility. And, you know, it was when I believe JP Morgan was lashing out against them. And then all of a sudden they turn that around and they want to have their own currency. So we're like having these talks and they're in the dinner table with us like, well, what's that? You know, and, you know, what is that? And my dad ended up buying Bitcoin when it was like and like 8,000 or something like that. And now he looks back and he had forgotten about this. This is the crazy part. So I asked him like 6 months ago. I believe it was like at 64,000 at the time. And I'm like, hey, Dad, whatever happened to that Bitcoin stuff that you were buying? And he's like, you know what? I have not checked. And I'm like, maybe you should. So he opens up the app and his eyes just cocked back.
Oh my God.
From 8,000 to 64,000. And I was like, yeah, that's the power of investing. And that's the investing that when you see these businesses and how they're built, how they're constructed, when Hispanic businesses always build around the person, and other cultures, they build around systems. So they're not needed after year 1, 2, 3, as opposed to Margarita's restaurant that she's answering the phone, flipping the pupusa, she's cleaning out the restroom on her lunch. Everything is revolved around them. And that was like me showing my dad, like, your money is now your workhorse, and if you cash, now you just, like, at that point, if he would have cashed out, he could have paid for half of my little brother's college. And that wasn't with money that he, worked so hard, 18 hours a day, and then, luckily was able to save. That was strictly with money that he put to work for him. So the importance of us as a community learning those principles is a must. Whether you're an investor, whether you see somebody's company and you say, what would you do? I see you run your company well. If you'd allow me to look at some of the numbers, I want to invest in your business. And if I feel it's investable, I have 10,000 saved under my bed. I have, here's a good story for you. Generation Cuts was started because one of my customers, I mean, at that time, I was working 12 to 14 hour days, 6 days a week, and longer if I needed. But it was just my routine. My mom has worked 7 days a week for 42 years. I don't know anything else. I don't know what a 9 to 5 is. But at that point, I had a customer that after years just said, Jerry, why don't you have your own business? Why don't you have your own barbershop yet? And I told him, man, I don't have credit, I don't have the credit and I don't have the money. And he's like, well, what money would you need? What amount of money? And I told him, if you gave me $6,000, I'd give you back $7,000. And he went to rocketlawyer.com, paid $30 for a contract, their templates, said my name, had my ID. It said the 6,000. It said that I had a year to pay him back 6,000 plus 1,000 interest. And he hands me over some money. I walked into, again, one of my own resources. That's why I said, it's not that you have to go far out, but I went to my mom's beauty salon and I'm like, man, this is a huge beauty salon. And I'm looking at both sides and I'm like, but she only has employees on the right side. The whole left side's not being used. And I told her, look, can I build some walls here and make a micro barbershop inside of your business? And she's my mom. What's she gonna say? Yeah. So she immediately was like, well, I want to see you prosper. So if you feel that that's a good thing, I was like, look, what's your rent? I won't disclose her rent right now, but hypothetically speaking, let's say, it was 3,000. I told her, how would you feel if I paid, I don't know, 70% of your rent? And her eyes got big, like my dad's when he saw Bitcoin. So, her eyes get huge. And she's just like, well, that means I would get to keep more money in my pocket. And I said, yeah, that's exactly it. I saw it as a way to bless my mother. And at the same time, it's probably an opportunity another person wouldn't have given me. So then in turn, we flipped that around. I used the $6,000 to construct 3 walls. I put 3 stations in there. The stations is the cabinets where all the machines go. I buy 3 chairs and I open up a DBA, Generation Cuts, and I convinced my cousin, who's a barber as well. I'm like, hey, bro, time to build. So he came through, and then I get a phone call from somebody who was looking for a barbershop to work in. And I'm selling him dreams at that point. And he hasn't, but I'm telling him we're gonna be the biggest thing in this, this side of the Mississippi type of stuff. And now his eyes are big, and then I secure him, right? He's like, man, I love your energy. I just have a feeling that you do what you say you're gonna do. And I told him, yeah, so when you come look at the shop, let's not judge a seed, a tree. I was like, I give you my word that we're gonna be the biggest thing around. But now this is what we have. We had no lobby. My mother was allowing us to use a little slice of her lobby, but she's still running a full business, So it's like at that point, it was very a conflict of interest that no one else would have done for me. But now we have people, after like 2 months, we have people inside of this 100 square foot space, standing on the walls, waiting, people sitting down,
no.
and then people waiting for us to call them in the parking lot because there was no longer any space.
Oh my gosh.
My mom's an old school Hispanic, so she's Christian as hell. Well, Christian as hell. What a way to put that one. So super Christian. So, it's a barber shop and guys are talking. We're getting guys ready for the weekend. They're going to Vegas. They're talking about strippers and they're talking about, new girls that they're going to go date. And the walls I made with no insulation in them because I'm trying to So now she's got like 4 80-year-old women getting perms on the other side saying, Santo Dios, ay padre. And I'm there getting text messages like, we can hear you guys. We can hear you guys. And it becomes this friction that I was causing on her brand. And then I said, you know what, if I can do this here, I can probably do this elsewhere. I show that first, the loan paper, the loan contract to another investor that had more money. And I tell him, look at what I've done, in under a year, look at what I've done. I was like, what if I were to guarantee you that if you gave me X amount of money, I would give you X amount of money back? I was like, and here's the proof. I gave him his money back. It was supposed to be in 1 year, and I gave it back to him in 6 or 7 months. And then I was like, I have this person's number. You can call them. I was like, I made it worth his while. And the person was just like, okay, like, what is there to debate? Like, you know what you're doing. And then from there, we open up our Winnetka location, 1,500 square foot location with an extra 2,200 square foot patio. Things were successful. We went and utilized the profit to open up Generation Cuts number 2. Generation Cuts number 2 was founded in the middle of a pandemic. It's now getting its wings. And then now, you know what I mean? So, but it all kind of goes back to the fact that I utilized other investors. I proved my skill sets. I proved my worth. I proved my character. And I also helped other people. If you don't help other people on your way up, don't expect you to end up higher than them, or don't expect you to end up high anyways, because that's one of the secret blessings of helping. One thing is to say, I appreciate you, I value you. Another thing is to say, let me bless you somehow. You needed this and I got you. Now your words are validated by your actions. So creating that whole atmosphere, that's how I was able to do something. And I think that that's the same thing that many other people can do. Same story that there can be a painter with that story. There can be
Right.
an with that story. There can be so many different fields that can just plug and play the stuff that I just said and create something for themselves as well.
That is an incredible story. There's two things I want to underscore also from your story that I think are important for people to hear. Like, one is the vision that you had, because if you know that quote from Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard that one? Like, you had a vision and you believed in yourself, but there was no guarantee at
No.
all that this would work out. And like, a lot of people would freak out and be like, I owe this person $7,000, right? And I don't know if I'm gonna get any customers. And so the mindset stuff you have to go through to be able to turn your vision into reality is huge. And you're such an example of what's possible when you choose to believe in yourself and have that vision. Go for it.
And adding to what you just said, if anyone has that mentality, it's an immigrant.
Exactly.
If anybody's gonna come here and risk everything,
Yeah.
and leave everything behind, I mean, if you can leave your family, if you can leave to a country that you know nothing about, if you can live under severe, you get here and you're sharing an apartment with 10 cousins or 10 whoever's, if you can do that, you're not gonna fear a little bit of debt when the right time comes, when the right opportunity comes. You left everything to chase something. So
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why there's a statistic. I'm not going to say the exact number because I don't have it exact, but when you see first generation millionaires, there's a significant drop off with their kids.
Yeah.
So it's like these immigrants brought this work ethic, they brought the vision, they're risk takers. To them it comes so easy, and then they have these entitled children that have no empowerment in them, in a bone of their body, but it's because they don't bring that mindset with them. They're very comfortable, they're okay, and as opposed to the immigrant that came here and just like, I didn't come here to be okay. I came here because they told me this is the land of milk and honey. So if I don't have a cow and if I don't have a beehive, I didn't do it right. So they're willing to work. They're willing to grind. If we were just to tell them, be willing to work in studying books as much as you do in the fields, as much as you do at the restaurants, as much as you do, if they were to get that principle down, we would take over big time. So yeah, definitely. I think that you're spot on with what you said.
Yeah, I just really commend you for that vision that you've had. And we also do business coaching in addition to financial coaching. And I found that the most important thing for people when you're starting a business and when you're starting with your finances, with investing, whatever it is your mindset. Like, you can learn all the strategies, like I can teach you everything, or you can teach them everything. But like, if you're not willing to work on that strong mindset, to have that unwavering faith of what's possible and doing what it takes, it's going to be very hard for those practical strategies to have any effect. So I just want to emphasize that. And I totally agree with you. Like, if you're an immigrant or child of immigrants, family member of immigrants, like, you've been through way more difficult things than starting a business. Like, you can start a business. That's going to probably be nothing compared to other things, right?
Yeah. And then you build, being a risk taker has to be at the top of your priority. Seeing it as there's nothing to lose and everything to gain, and whatever you lose, you can gain back. So the other day I was driving with my wife, and I saw somebody that was down on their luck, living in a tent. It's LA, so half of LA right now is homeless. It's a terrible situation. But I had an honest question for my wife, which is, if you were to strip me from everything at this moment, I can't utilize my businesses, I can't utilize any funds. If you were to take everything from me, kick me out, and put me on the street, how long do you think I would last homeless? And she thought for like 5 seconds and said, you wouldn't be here past tonight. He's all like, she said,
Yeah.
you would, I don't know what she thought, but she probably thought like I would make some girl fall in love and let me move. Or I just have to put it between your ears that there's nothing that can stop you, that it's only a matter of who you talk to, when you talk to, where you talk to them. So keep talking, keep moving, keep doing, and keep having that mindset. And nothing will be able to stop you. Will it take some time? Yeah. It of course, Rome wasn't built in one day, but utilizing what you have, who you are, people are going to love you. Like, I think that that's one thing with immigrants, that they feel there's like a trauma that they're the despised when they get here. Like, oh, you see the people saying, get out of our country. And, you see that sometimes on like the news or whatever. And it's like, no, they love us here. Yeah, they love, they love us. They love us when we work for them. They love us when we're the cheap labor. They love us when we're the cheap help. They love certain things about us, but now it's about us flipping that and just not thinking that because we're here or we get here that we're looked down on. Like, I don't accept that. And I think that as immigrants, when they get here, it prolongs them from getting to their goal. The longer they think they're the pobrecitos.
Yeah.
We're not the pobrecitos. Like, we have power. They love our culture. Go walk the streets of LA and tell me they don't love Hispanics. Our restaurants are, our people are in full effect. The clubs are filled with our music. It's just one of those things where it's like, just learn to love who you are and be extra bold, and you'll find the people that really love you and stick to you.
And that's exactly why finances and business are so powerful, because that's how you change that equation of like being someone who's being discriminated against or viewed as cheap labor to like turning it around and like being the boss and like owning your power, just like what you're saying, what your family's been an example for. And what you were saying with your wife, if you were like on the street poor, all of a sudden, what would you do if you're homeless? It made me think of something I've been learning a lot recently, just real quick, and then I'll let you go because I know you're busy and it's getting late. But like, it just reminds me of it a lot. So we have to learn this for everybody. Like, our sense of security and safety cannot be based on how much money we have in our account. It cannot be based on our net worth. It has to be based on our imagination, our ideas, our creativity, our risk taking, you said. And that's exactly why in that scenario, if you were dropped homeless immediately, by the end of the night, you would be okay, because that, all those skills, those are those invaluable things. That is your safety and security. And we've been told this lie, and immigrants in particular have been told this lie in order for the American economy to continue. And don't let me go off on how the immigration laws facilitate all this, but immigrants have been told this lie, and the legal system has perpetuated this of like, we're going to just have you be in this unstable situation where you're just like desperate to keep a job because we're not going to give you a work permit and let you have a job, but we're actually going to depend on you to run the whole economy, right? Oh, I could go off forever, but like, this is so important what you said about like, it's not about what resources you have. It's not about how much is in your bank. It's about your ideas, and that's your safety and security. And no one can take that away from you, no matter what the immigration laws say, right?
100%. And what you said was, money's powerful. We are projected to be the big boy in the room. It's only a matter of time. And
well, why else are all the Republicans freaking out? Excuse me for interrupting.
No, you're man, Republican, Democrat, I don't see much help. Our help is gonna come from our own awakening.
Yeah.
either party doesn't. I mean, they talk a lot.
Totally.
They talk, Biden talked a hell of a lot, and
Totally.
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make it political. I just mean like,
Oh, no,
there's a reason there's people freaking out about losing power because there's
correct.
another group building power.
And that's the reason why people attack Joe Rogan and Tiger Belly and all of the other podcasts that are skipping ABC to get in the eyes, in front of the faces of people. And the shift of power, that's why they don't like digital currencies, right? That's why Biden announced today, like, no, we need to investigate this. Why? It's because they're not the filter anymore between everyday people and other everyday people. Before, it's them telling us, you need to hate this person. This is the filter. And when immigrants have been coming, they've had that filter. They've had the immigration laws. And it's just like, you got to pass through here. And then they demoralize you so that you feel like, oh, well, all I can do is I'm either going to clean restrooms or work the fields. Those are my two options. And then, but now with the power of technology, with the power of the internet, they see real life stories about people who came as immigrants and now are congressmen. And you're like, what? I thought he was supposed to toilets. I thought he was supposed to. And no disrespect to where, you got to do whatever you got to do once you get here. But the growth, that's where the importance of having the money growing on our side, having the culture growing on, not just when it's convenient, not just when they say, oh, look at J-Lo, how she looks at age 100, and oh my God, she's, that's how Latinos are. They applaud us for certain things, and then it's like your time is done. Pretty soon we'll position ourselves to where we are at our own table, and our own table is great, and we're not asking them to be on their table. And like you said, they will be shivering soon. Their knees will be clacking, and I hope that the Hispanic community takes names. Is what the saying, you kick ass and take names. That's where I can't wait to see that day for sure.
Amazing. Jerry, this was fantastic. Like, what was that?
I said, we will remember.
I love it. Thank you so much for making the time. Where can people, follow you, check out your businesses, work with you, support your great work?
My main page right now is just Instagram, the generation_cuts. And then from there, they can see all the various roots of the tree. For the Up Next investments, it's just Jerry Studio. But generation_cuts is the main baby right now. And they can always reach out if they want to email me. They can email me to generationcuts@gmail.com, and we can connect. I mean, this is what I do. This is literally, if it seems natural, is because I talk to people all day. Every customer gets a story, and I'm willing to connect with any of your people who think I have.
Thank you so much. I think you've probably inspired a ton of people. Thanks for making the time. I knew when we quickly messaged that you were awesome, but I didn't know you were going to be this awesome. So thank you for amazing conversation, and I wish you the best with all of your endeavors.
God bless. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jerry. Take care. Bye.